Name, where you're from, season.
Pirie. I'm from Spokane, Washington, and I am a PA 12 or 2020 or COVID.
What value, if any, did the training add to your life?
I think when I think about the agents of change, I've been through a lot of different DEI, racial equity, but I think what the value that it added to me was realizing that we are more than allies. We have an opportunity to be a co-conspirator, and that we, and when I say we, I mean people with privilege, need to step up and step into spaces.
How have you been able to use what you've learned in your own anti-racism journey?
I've taken a lot of different classes, and I think the most valuable thing about being in the Parent Ambassador Agents of Change training was being in there with people who wanted to learn, and having those honest conversations. A lot of times when I'm taking trainings, it's because I'm paid in a paid position, or it's like a forced thing, like if you're going to get this certificate you have to do this training. So it's nice to be a part of the Parent Ambassador training because everyone was there because they wanted to do what was right and what's good.
Was there something in particular that stood out to you during this training?
I think there were some things that bothered me. There were people that were on the call, specifically white people, that never turned on their cameras and never spoke. And I on one call asked why there were people on the call that didn't have their cameras on and weren't speaking, because this wasn't like a 9 a.m. work meeting where people aren't up yet or their kids are there or whatever. This was like something we chose to hold a space and step into a spot, and there were people that didn't uphold what they said they came to do. That bothered me.
Would you recommend this training, or was anything missing? Why?
I wouldn't not recommend the training. I think there's a lot of things that were missing, right? We shoved a training not just about race, but about all kinds of issues into like 8 Wednesday evening when we're all tired and we've been working all day and our kids are running around. We shoved all that into one space, and there wasn't a clear plan for continuation, and there wasn't anything like 9:30 calls over. So yeah, I would recommend it, but I would say that it needs to be broken down. And I'm a big fan of, like, if we're gonna do trainings, if I'm taking an LGBTQ training, I wanna learn from someone who's LGBTQ. If I'm taking a training on anti-blackness, I need a black person to teach that. I want an indigenous person to talk about issues surrounding stolen land and those things. So yes, it was valuable. I would recommend it, but it's not a one and done.
In talking with other people, what words would you use to describe the Parent Ambassador program?
See, we just did this downstairs, and I can't remember the word I used, but evolving, impactful, surprising, motivating.
Is there a training or topic discussion that you remember as significant? If so, can you describe why it is significant?
So I think some of the things that are significant to me are that the vision board that we made, I have mine like sitting in my office, and I frequently look over there and like look at the vision board and see some of the things that I've already accomplished, and then some things that I know is going to take a lot of work to mark off. And then I think the other training, we had a woman come and meet with us and really encouraged us to run for office, and really talked about issues around immigration and how we can hold power, and that was really, I liked that. And maybe I like that more because it was in person. So it was impactful to me.
What would you tell lawmakers about how families with young children, including your own family, have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic?
I have a lot of intersectionality in our family. We have, I have adopted children who were adopted out of foster care. I have children with trauma. I have children with IEPs, speech, went on the spectrum. I've been a single mom. And we have mental health challenges. I don't think we have anything that every household across the United States doesn't have. And I think what legislators need to know and need to understand is that we're not just going to sit here and not do anything. Like, something has to be done.
How would you create a child care subsidy program so it will actually help families who work and go to school?
Well, it's pretty easy if you're helping families who work and go to school. That's every family, so every family gets it. That's not hard. Why does it have to be so hard? Why do we have to read everything else into it? It's not even a puzzle. There's one piece to it. Everyone gets it. And guess what? Those who don't need it, don't use it. It's like public education. People choose to put their kids in private school because they can afford it and they want to do that. They do that.
How long ago were you a parent ambassador, and what has changed your life since then? Do you think parent ambassadors played a role in where you are now in life? How?
So I was a parent ambassador. I applied in 2019, and I was doing a job. I worked for a program that bailed people out of jail and connected them to services. And the people that we bailed out of jail were people who couldn't afford to pay their own bail, were being held without being they were charged of things, but we didn't know if they were guilty or not, and it wasn't our issue to figure out that. And I'm formerly incarcerated, and I was literally sitting at my desk looking at 2 different applications and thinking, maybe I'll go and fight for rights of formerly incarcerated people, or maybe I'll go and become a parent ambassador. And I knew more about the program for formerly incarcerated people than I did this program for parent ambassadors. But I had seen and been to meetings and seen the parent ambassador cohorts and seen them graduating and talking about the work they were doing. And so I applied for the parent ambassador cohort, and I remember calling and asking, like, did you get my application? When do we find out? I don't know much about this. And so I kind of got like an inside scoop. We were in Olympia, and they were like, we're pretty sure you made it in. And so there were a couple of us that were like, we made it in, we're going to be parent ambassadors. And then COVID hit, and we had planned to come to our first in-person meeting. And so, COVID was really a time where we didn't know what was happening in the world. As a parent, I wanted to protect my kids. I have a 32-year-old, and so I was really worried about where he was at, what he was going to do, what my little kids were going to do, how we were going to make it through. So we hunkered down and we sheltered in place, and the parent ambassador cohort gave me more than I could have ever imagined getting from the other cohort that I was thinking about applying to. So it's only been 2 years, and I feel like if I would not have been a parent ambassador, I don't know how I would have made it through COVID. I really don't know. I made like such good friends out of that group, total strangers that we made good friends. We met every Monday night. We called each other. We pushed legislation. We talked about our mental health. I lost a child. I lost a stepchild who was 18 to overdose. We just made it through. We pushed through every single thing that happened, and the world was crumbling around us, and we were building up. We were still building. So.
What was most memorable for you in your year as a PA?
Probably watching legislation pass, seeing Build Back Better. I think that also the things that I did locally. I'm in Spokane, and most of the parent ambassadors are on the other side of the state. But being a parent ambassador empowered me to show up at school board meetings, teach my kids how to speak their truth, write letters to the editor, I would have never done any of that if I wasn't a parent ambassador. So that, like, for me, that's the most impactful for me.
There you go.
We're good.
That was great.
Thank you.
I really like